Okay, good night. So this will be the third chapter in what has become three-part study into the symbolic language. The previous, I would say, episode that was 10 minutes or so. It was just cut in the middle because of lack of space. Anyway, what I was meaning to say is pretty obvious, but I mean just that you need to seek. I mean, if you use canvases or if you use paintings for symbolic constructs, like I do a lot, you need to just take into account that these are 3D objects. Like there is no such a thing as 2D objects in this symbolic language. Nothing is 2D. Everything is three-dimensional, including painting. So you need to just take it into account, and this is just another reason why even it might be obvious. I might state the obvious, but I don't know who is listening to me. That's the problem. I don't know if these people they might be very rich and powerful, and they might be like me, poor, and they have almost nothing. From my perspective, everything is possible, and nothing is impossible. And you need to understand, again, following the video from yesterday, I live in an extremely skeptical world. It's not a world of normal people. It's not even the world of normal intelligence people that belong to intelligence communities of the world. It's a dark world, the world of Bane from from the Dark Knight. A dark world. I was born into this world, and I'm extremely. To say that I'm suspicious. It's kind of the understatement of the year. Everything everything is kind of is not what it seems to be, and everybody's trying to take a bite out of you and to deceive you, and everything, and nothing is as it seems. And this is my world, and there are some benefits to. Of course, it's a cool world, but there are some benefits to be born like that, to be such a person. I've already stated that the main, maybe the most glaring example, which is the story of the uncovering of the Venusian conspiracy. I had no other source, just reading public material. But the fact that that it was in my capability to even think about this possibility, and to kind of to weigh the options, and of course this is all with the help of God, siyata dishmaya, as they say. So there's the help of God, which is kind of an overarching kind of a principle. But in a more specific way, down to earth way, this in order to be such a person, even thinking along those lines, you need to be a person that is very, that is kind of very skeptical, extremely skeptical. Again, so this is my life. So I don't know who listens to me. So maybe so because of that, almost everything is possible from my perspective. Even though I think of myself not it's the regular conspiracy hobbies that kind of I'm very down to earth. In fact, everything that I even if I use divinations, prophecies, things that are very spiritual, I always try to connect it to material things like evidence, microscopic evidence, or kind of things that you can actually present and to say this is this is evidence, and positivistic evidence. So from that skeptical point of view, I don't know who is the listener, and maybe something that for you are obvious. I don't know if they're obvious to other people. Because I don't know who you are. You can be and I also speak to people in the future, and I said many times. You cannot know who are these people from the future. Presumably not humans at all, and maybe not Titans. Presumably I don't know what kind of species. So I try to be very, to weigh all options, as they say. So from that perspective, I say that, I say many things, but specifically that, yes, you should take into account the obvious, maybe obvious or maybe not obvious fact that the canvas is also three-dimensional container. It's not 2D. The canvas is not 2D. And and you need to acknowledge it, and because of that, you should, on the first place, choose a sturdy canvas. Doesn't have to be canvas. I like canvas canvas made of linen or denim. I don't have any formal education in art, and I didn't paint at all until I started 2 years ago. And so almost everything that I say from experience, and this is both advantage and disadvantage. It's disadvantage because maybe I said the obvious thing, but it's disadvantage because whatever I told you, I say after I actually checked it. I say that canvases are actually made of denim or linen. They are very durable, but they are also flexible. They can be rolled and they can be stand all sort of stand all sort of other I think that other mediums cannot stand. But you don't have to use canvas. But if you don't use canvas, I would suggest even sturdier materials like pieces of wood. I know that it might sound not intuitive today, but actually in the past, that was actually, there was some time, there was some era in history that this was actually the standard for paintings. That this is the way people painted, on blank, palettes of wood. And it's not, and I've actually had several of these, but they are all, it's very heavy. So all of what I had is in storage. It's not here. It's in a storage, and it's not a bad. It's actually not a bad idea. It's actually fun. But I did it. When I had my own apartment, in Shoham, and I had much better conditions, and I could stand and everything. So actually, wood is not a bad idea. Even if it doesn't need to be wood that was prepared for that purpose. It could be all sort of pallets of wood, but should be a sturdy one, and of course start with gesso, and then acrylic or oil, and then varnish. Wood is fine. I wouldn't suggest painting on paper, even though I have quite a bit of paintings on paper. I still have maybe 20 or so, or 30 even, but I've done it only on the beginning, on the first month or 2 or 3 months or something like that, and then I stopped. There are some papers that are extremely thick, thicker than canvas. Even though it's difficult to find it in regular art stores. You can buy it online. Some papers are very, very, very thick and are made out of cotton or linen, and I must say that I'm to the point that I'm not really sure what makes them different from canvas, but besides the fact, which is important, and canvas is, when you say canvas, you mean something that looks like a rug, basically, when it's like that. And paper is not paper is not if it's so thick, it's not, you cannot roll it easily. But very, very dense paper, not 300 GCM, much more than that. 300 GCM, which is kind of it's a standardized GCM is a standardized way, to define the weight of papers. In the art world. So 300 is considered the standard heavy paper. But I'm not thinking about that. This is not enough, not nearly enough. For to create durable kind of painting that are also used as containers, they actually contain stuff inside it. So 300 are not enough. You need something like 500 or 600, and there are even 900. But you cannot find it in the regular art stores. You can only buy it online, and probably canvas will be cheaper, and probably it's a better option, canvas. The paper that they refer to that might be as replacement for canvas is a kind of rarity in the art world. It's not something that you can easily buy, and just the regular heavy ones, the 300. It's fine to paint on them, but and I have quite a bit of those, and there are even the advantages. Also the advantages, you don't need gesso, you can just paint, and of course, but to create something that's symbolic, that will stand the test of time. if you really want to use paper, so it will be at least the 300 type, which is something that you can, it's still pretty common that you can find in art stores, like, I mean, the 300. But, I mean, not less than that. So, having said that, I mean, so I would say that, so I mean, I now understand that something that I suspected, I mean, long ago, that, I mean, people will try to imitate me, which is fine. I mean, that was also always part of the agenda. I mean, I'm okay with that. Just that, I mean, in the past, I really didn't know, like, I mean, if people are actually doing it or no. And now I have, like, more kind of, like, suspicion that people actually do it, and I'm fine with that. Like, in any case, I mean, my agenda was always to speak what's on my mind, like, and I mean, not to be afraid, like, if I'm wrong, because certainly I'm always wrong in many things, and then I kind of, like, correct myself, and I think it's more important, like, to give the information that you have for the benefit of the public, you know, whoever they are. I mean, they could be aliens from Saturn or Uranus, I don't know, Neptune, like, I mean, whoever listened to whoever that have the access, which is, initially it was not many people, because Israel is blocked it, but I mean, I understand that with time, Disney Plus, like, I mean, was becoming more lenient in their subscription services. And I mean, you know, for my perspective, when I speak, I'm never secretive. Like, there is no video that I ever like made in my life, like, and certainly in the last 4.5 years in this journey, like, I mean, there is no video or text or any kind of, I mean, you know, any something that I wrote or said that, I mean, was meant to a specific person or to a specific group of people, whatever they are. Like, I mean, everything that I say, I mean, certainly in the last 4.5 years, everything that I say, like, I mean, that either I upload it to YouTube or whatever, I mean, everything is, from my perspective, it's all kind of in the public domain. Like, I mean, in the, you know, the no restrictions, from my perspective, no restrictions. I mean, in the broadest sense of possible. Like, I mean, I don't care if you're alien for another kind of, like, universe even, or another solar system, or another galaxy. Doesn't matter. I mean, if you're bad or good, if you're evil or if you're righteousness, if you're stupid or if you're smart, if you are, I don't know what you are. It doesn't matter. What I say is always like in the public domain. Like, I mean, no restrictions at all, no license, and no nothing, no recipients, specific recipients, nothing. And it doesn't matter. From my perspective, it doesn't matter, because I mean, I do not belong to any intelligence service, and I was never belong to any intelligence service. Of course, I mean, with kind of like a caveat that, I mean, yes, I served in the IDF, of course, but I mean, like, you know, like I mean, it's, you know, it's a compulsory service in Israel, but I mean, after that, I had no kind of a connection to any secret organization or something like that. And it's so my agenda is always like the extreme opposite of any, like, person that you know that, I mean, belong to intelligence services, because nothing that I say is secretive, nothing at all. The fact that my life is a secret, and I mean, I'm surrounded by secrets, I mean, it's not my choice. From my perspective, everything that I upload to, or even just, I mean, send to myself in Gmail, which is kind of like, I mean, public thing, is kind of like, I mean, is in the public domain. So, and so, I mean, of course, I mean, you can imitate it if you want. I mean, but, you know, it's like, I mean, you know, just I mean, be skeptical yourself. I mean, but now that I mean, I kind of like I've got like more than ever, I understand that actually people are actually doing it, and most probably the ones that, I mean, that can actually, like, achieve. Of course, there are many ways the way you can do it just for fun, or for, I don't know, artistic purposes or whatever, you know, draw inspiration, find comfort. I don't know, but if you actually want to, like, I mean, to affect the neos, like the robots, whether they're in your body or in other people's body, it only makes sense that, I mean, you are not the Lord Commander of the fleet, as I say. Like, I mean, you don't have, like, I mean, the ability to communicate, I mean, with all of them. I mean, that's me, but you are not me, whoever you are. But you might have the ability to communicate with your own, that are these robots that created in your body. And again, your own means what was created in your body, not what was, I mean, you ate. Because, yes, I mean, and because even if you are like presumably a Titan female that can create a stuff in her body, she can also take it, like, I mean, you know, from other people's bodies, like, I mean, and it was done in the past, at least in the past, it was done quite a bit in Israel and also abroad. This is a mistake. This was a mistake, a big mistake, but I explained many times why, so let's not repeat ourselves. But I mean, and they can even get addicted to it. I mean, the fact that it's a natural substance that's created in their own body doesn't mean that they cannot also get it from like other like sources and even get addicted to it in a very unnatural way. Even though the presence of the material, I mean, by itself in their body is not unnatural. It's created in their body. It's like, I don't know, serotonin. I mean, it's created in the brain naturally, but you can also, I mean, you know, like, I mean, use drugs that, I mean, will. Actually, I don't know if it's equivalent, because I think that the drugs that are not usually contain serotonin, but they only inhibit the brain to create more. So it's not. Forget about it. It's not a good example. Anyway, so taking into account the fact that, yes, I understand now that actual people, probably Titan females, but who knows, are actually doing this stuff, like, and maybe they even see results. I don't know. You tell me if you see results. I would gladly, like, you know, get feedback on the matter. It's important to me to kind of, like, I mean, and also as a wrap up for the previous two videos, to actually say a couple of things, like, I mean, in general, with regards to the symbolic language. Of course, these are not the first videos on the subject. I speak about it like for 2 years, so I mean, you know, just find the videos. But I mean, I still think that it's important to say a few things. And in general, I mean, maybe I should say something with regards to I mean, to, like, how do I get information and the nature of my mistakes, because I've said many things that are, I mean, that later I kind of, I mean, they proved that it was proven to me that they were wrong, and I corrected myself. This is true in the science journey, of course, like in what I do with regards to the scientific inquiry of the neurons in the last 10 months. It was documented in this channel, but it's also true for things that I uploaded, I mean, in the last 4.5 years. Like, I mean, from point that I understood that I'm not Homo sapiens and that there is conspiracy around me, and I started, like, you know, this journey. So, I mean, so it was always true, I mean, so, I mean, doing all this time, I mean, up to, I mean, before the last 10 months, I mean, I was also, I mean, it was also kind of, you know, a detective work, or kind of, you know, prophet work, a work of inquiry into the nature of things, like a philosopher work, whatever you actually want to define it. However you define it, it was, I mean, it was like, I mean, this was years of inquiry into reality. And not specifically with microscope and with references to, you know, thermodynamics and physics and biology like you see in the last 10 months. But I mean, it wasn't like scientific, like in the narrow way. I mean, like the things that you see in this channel in the last 10 months. But from my perspective, it's both, like, you know, inquiry into the nature of things, both, like, in a philosophical way and, like, you know, in historical sense, and the psychological sense, but also biological sense, and physical sense, and mechanical sense, and computer science. Like, I mean, from my perspective, it's all inquiry. And so it's, I mean, when you inquire into the nature of things, I mean, you many times, I mean, you are wrong. I mean, because you present theories and then you falsify them. I mean, if your theories cannot be falsified, that means that your theories are kind of, like, I mean, are not scientific. Like, I mean, you know, in a proper way, like a Karl Popper way. Like, I mean, theory is required to be falsifiable, like, in order to have, like, a meaning as a building block for science. So, and another thing that should be said, in one of the previous videos, I've said something that I said a lot, that what I learned, like, my sources are actually the people around me. Now I want to explain a thing about it, because it's more complicated than initially. I mean, I maybe need to explain something. There are several, like, layers to this statement, like, I mean, to the sources are the people around me. I mean, nobody. I mean, all of them are all people that are around me always belong to intelligence cells, whether Israeli ones or foreign ones. They are always, I mean, hostile to me, because I'm not part of any intelligence services, and I never was a part. But I mean, when I say that, I mean, almost everything I gather from them, it's true, but it's kind of like several layers, different layers that I need to explain, because it's much more complicated than you might initially think. The first layer is just that how they actually act, and this is the most important layer and the simplest one and the most important one, and both simple and most important. To see their reaction, to see how they act, and to learn the people. And this was always the backbone of everything that all my theories. And this is true not only in the last 4.5 years, but because it's also true in retrospective. Because I remember how it's not just everything that happened until 4.5 years ago was deleted from my mind. No, I have quite a good memory, and I remember all sorts of stuff that happened to me during my life. Throughout all my life, and this is also something that was reevaluated as part of this journey. So it's also falls under kind of the behavior of other people, behavior that happened even long before 4.5 years ago, but was reevaluated as part of the journey. So this is the first layer. That I see how they act. I see how they react. I see what their main move, what's their nature, and how they and also of course how they react to things that I do. And sometimes I intentionally do such things in order to get reactions from them. This was very common at least in the first 2 or 3 years of my journey. In the last year or last year and a half, I kind of lost interest in kind of participating in any theater show with these zombies. Now I'm kind of I'm not ashamed to say that I consider myself now in an upper position. Mostly I want them to disappear. Not to hear them and not to see them. Because they're zombies for me. But yes, initially, in first at least 2 years of this journey, part of the game was to participate in shows with the zombies and to see how they react. Not very fun, but yes, it was important part of this journey. And mostly it's behind me, because it's really, I now consider myself superior to this kind of to this kind of field actions. I consider it field actions. You need to actually walk or drive to a lot of places in Israel and meet zombies. And then participate in their cool shows and to see how they react. I've done it quite a bit, but I do not miss it. Now I just want them out. Out of my universe. But there is actually another layer to it. It is much more complicated. It's actually 3 layers. So the second layer is the bicycle mechanism, and this is something that I understood long ago that it exists, and it causes people to. It's a way people use. I've discussed it a lot in this channel, so let's not repeat ourselves. But one of the things that people do to me, and they do to me almost every day, is they try to torture me with this mechanism, which means to torture me is by senses, sound attacks or smell attacks, things like that. And this is cruelty. But as I said many times, it's not the worst cruelty because they use other types of cruelty as well. But when they do it, sometimes you can learn from it. You can learn from the torture. At least that. The only advantage of being tortured, is that you can learn from it. You can learn quite a bit. Why do they torture you? Because they are not very sophisticated. Mostly, they that's one of the. The studying from these people, from the Israeli people, it's problematic because, as I said, previously in one of the previous videos, they are irrational. So this is a huge disadvantage. To learn, when you build your worldview, or the puzzle of the world from the actions of your enemies, it's better that the enemies are rational, because otherwise there is so much chaos that and this is actually my life, a life of chaos. That's why in this journey 4.5 years, and many times I feel that I didn't even learn basic stuff that I should have learned, because there is so much chaos in how they behave, and so much irrationality, and as I say, they fight with each other. So there are many and they act and they are completely emotional and egoistic. So all of this creates a huge problem. And hindrance or difficulty with this kind of study that you learn from the reactions. But That's what I have, and I live with that. But there is also a huge, there is a very strong characteristic of the people of the Israeli intelligence that is actually a great advantage when you try to learn from to build worldview from their actions, which is actually very beneficial for me. And this is the fact that they are all extremely short-sighted. They all work in Scrum, and I spoke about quite a bit in the past. Like, they all want to reap, like, the only immediate advantages, like to take a bite of you right now. They're like alligators that fight for scraps of meats that are thrown by you don't know even who, and you don't care. You just want to take the bite before the next alligator. That's why they cannot threat you at all, and they cannot promise you anything at all, like not good or bad. They cannot threat you, even though 80% of what they do is to try to threat you with all sorts of ways. But very quickly you will understand that in their world, like in the world that you are forced to live in, there is no threat. Cannot really exist. Threats are always empty in this world, like the world that they build to themselves and put you locked inside. Like this jail that I'm locked in, like this world, it's a world where the threats are impossible. They try to make it look like threats in order to kind of to coerce you to things, but real threats, like real tangible threats, are impossible. And it's something that you all if you I don't know who listen to me, but if you are you are also Israeli and you are under the boot of the Shabak, or maybe you are even abroad under the boot of the Shabak or the Mossad, you should know, even though 80% of what they do is threatening, first of all, this is not common in other intelligence services. I can tell you that they are also creeps and homosexual pedophile fuckers, but they do not threat as much or even at all, because other intelligence services are they are not like little children like the Israeli ones. So because they are little children, they threat so much, but their threats are always empty, and I'll tell you why. Because threat is impossible in this world. Because what is a threat? A threat means that a person, the person that actually put the threats, presumably he can do something bad to you, but he's saying, I can do something bad to you, I can hurt you, but I will not do it unless you obey me. This is an impossibility. It's just impossibility. Because this person, why should he even do something bad to you at all? That's the question. And the answer is that this person will do something bad to you if as a result he will immediately get something from you. That's the only way why he should do something bad to you. If he had nothing to get from you, he will not even speak to you. You will not be part of his life. They are alligators that require a meal. They want to take a bite. If there is no place, if there is no meat, they will not they cannot eat the grass. So or flowers or pasta. So they will, if there is like a bag of pasta, they will not fight over it or threat it, or they will not. They will go away to another place. They are searching for the meat. That's what they want. Now, if they can get something from you by hurting you, they will immediately do it. They will immediately do it. If they can get something from you by hurting you, they will hurt you immediately on the spot to get it from you. This is why real threats are impossible, because they are predicated on the concept of a sleeve, like in like in poker. You need to have a sleeve in order to threat someone, which means that you need to have like a card in the sleeve that presumably, you can get out of the sleeve. But they have no sleeves. They have no sleeves, because if they can do something bad to you, they will do it. Now you must understand, it's not only because they are like predatory animals, super predatory animals. It's also because they know that they live among predatory animals. They know that they must act quickly, because if they can hurt you to get something and they don't do it, they think, okay, someone else of the intelligence service of Israel, someone else of the alligators will hurt you and get stuff from you. That's why there is, from their point of view, there is no reason to wait. Like maybe they can get something bigger from you in the future, so better not to hurt you now, and so they can gain like larger reward in the future, because they will say, who knows if the future will actually happen, because there is another alligator right beside me, another person of the Israeli intelligence, that he will take the bite and will get the reward, whether it's small or big. So from their perspective, there is no reason to wait, and there is no sleep. Now it should be said that there is no sleep for good thing as well. So if they tell you something reverse threat or promise, I would say, that if you do this and that to us, we will, we'll give you something that you want in the future, like money or whatever. We will affect the court, in your favor, or all sort of ridiculous promises. This is an impossibility. Never mind if they actually have the power to do so or not. It's an impossibility that it will happen. Because these people, they don't have memory at all. They are alligators. They don't have memory. Every day is a new day. They will never act upon a promise that they made in the past. From their perspective, it's irrational. Why should I do something if I don't get anything in return? But you've received it in the past. But the past already happened. It's behind us. Why should I now do something? You tell me to do something now, and you tell me do it, but I will not get anything from it, just in order to, I don't know, to pacify the past, but the past already happened. It doesn't make sense. So you say that I said it in the past, but it was in the past. You yourself said, you admit that it was in the past that I said it. It's not now that I say it. So why should I? Even according to your your version of events, it doesn't make sense that I will comply with the demand, because you said it yourself. I said it in the past, but the past already is done. It's happened. So by definition, I will get nothing from acting like you want me to act, presumably because of things that I said, but I already said it. They are done. This is how 100% of the Israeli intelligence and large percentages of the Israeli population are thinking along these lines. They do not understand at all why is it even remotely rational to act according to the words, because the words were already uttered. They belong to the past, and by definition they are dead, and they have no significance on the current state of events. This is why 100% of the words mean zero. Zero. They don't even it's not only that they might not, comply with what they already said. It's that they don't even understand why is it rational to actually do such a thing. It doesn't make sense from their point of view. It's completely irrational and stupid to waste efforts, like resources, in order to not gain anything, but presumably to pacify like a abstract demon that listen to your words, but words that you yourself say that already was spoken in the past, in some other, in past situations that is already dead. They don't even understand why you should do it. They should do it, or anyone should do it. So from their perspective, promises means nothing at all. Nothing at all. So both threats and promises are impossible in this world. Are just impossible. They are impossibility. And you should always know that. If they promise you something, if you will comply with their demands, know that this is a lie by definition. And if they threat you, you should know that you should not be afraid, because there is not something bad that they can do to you in order to get something that they have not already done. And if something like that will appear in the future, it should be said that they will immediately do it again. If in the future they will be able to help you in order to get something from you, they will do it immediately, without any thought. So the Israelis cannot threat you and they cannot promise you. In general, so you can ask them, so what kind of conversation can be done with them? The answer is nothing. You should not speak with them at all. Whoever you are, you should know that you do not speak with Israelis. Their language means nothing. I've said it many times. They try to condition me, like psychological conditioning, hypnotics, like all my life, to all sorts of things. And I don't know if they ever had any success. But one thing they had, tremendous success, even though they didn't try to do it. But I mean, indirectly, they created a huge psychological condition on me. And this is the aversion, like the hate, the intuitive, like reflex hatred towards the Hebrew language. Now, this is I think in the Hebrew language, and of course I speak Hebrew much better than English. And I mean, this is my native tongue, and I mean, I've read my life is a Hebrew life, but I hate the Hebrew language. I think in the Hebrew language, but I hate the language. I mean, it's not just hatred, it's like, repulsion. Like, it's repulsive to me. Like, if I hear someone speaking Hebrew, I immediately, it's disgusted. I cannot watch any YouTube video in Hebrew. I only watch English videos, and sometimes Spanish, but mostly English videos, because I speak some Spanish. But mostly English. Almost all are English videos. I cannot listen to any Hebrew video at all. It's mostly with the spoken language. I can still read Hebrew, even though I prefer to read English. But with regard to the spoken word, I cannot listen to this language. I cannot watch any video in YouTube or any other channel that speaks Hebrew. And I don't like to hear other people speak Hebrew. Not in video. Actual people. I prefer. It disgusted me to listen to people speak Hebrew, even though this is I think in this language. Because I was conditioned by the Israeli intelligence to be repulsed by this language. And the funniest thing is that they try to condition me into aversion to Russian and Arabic. I don't know why, but it's clear that they tried to do it to me, and also they did it to other people. Presumably that if I hear Arabic or I hear Russian, I must be afraid. This is completely stupid. Why should I be afraid? I hear it. I don't understand Russian or Arabic. Unfortunately, yes, I didn't have the time to learn. Of course, I would like to learn these important languages, but and they are very common in Israel. But it's a fact that they try to condition their victims to aversion of these languages. I don't know why. Just the way to control them, because so they'll be able to speak Russian or Arabic. Because many of them speak these languages because they are so common in Israel. So they are Arabic and Russians are extremely common in Israel. They are almost as common even more common than English in some places in Israel. But they are very common all over Israel. Almost everywhere in Israel. Maybe just outside of very ultra Orthodox communities, every other place. You hear always you hear Russian and Arabic are extremely common. So maybe they try to condition the victims against it in order to, so it will be easy to kind of to easily control them, or to scare them. But I have no problem with the language. But they successfully conditioned me against the Hebrew language. I cannot listen to this language, mostly not in videos, not in real life, because I so many times that you get used to it. If it's in Hebrew, it's a lie. If it's uttered in Hebrew, whatever it is, it's a lie. It's a weapon. It's something that is used against you or against another person. I will now borrow from Philip Roth. It's something that he says. Mentioned in his very early novel. I actually like Philip Roth. He's already dead. Yes, he died a few years ago. So one of his first novels was What's Going On with Portnoy, or something like that, Marvel Portnoy. So he says that it's all a narrative, third person narrative of the protagonist, a young Jewish person from the New York or something. So he says that the people around him, that the Jews around him, use language as machine gun. That from their perspective, the language is a machine gun, and that when you speak, you are firing bullets in machine gun all over the place, and you need always to dodge. So when people speak to you, you need to dodge their bullets. Until kind of they need to stop or something, and then you start to shoot at them with your own machine gun. So this is so. Even though we didn't speak about Israelis, we spoke about Jews in the United States, in New York or something, or I don't know, Pennsylvania or whatever. This is so true to Israelis, and this is unbelievably true to Israelis. Unbelievably true to Israelis. This is Hebrew. Hebrew is a machine gun. It's not a language. It's a weapon that is used to shoot all over the place. So you need to dodge the bullets and then fight back. This is Hebrew. This is the Hebrew language. Like, I mean, it's only used to attack. It's the only way, just for attack. Yes, so after some time you repulsed, you are just listening to people speaking Hebrew, you are conditioned, to just want to go away. This is life, this is life, this is my life. This is life in this hell. This is life. Now, where were we? So with regards to, people cannot really threat you. And they cannot really promise you. So there is no reason to speak with them at all. Again, if it's Hebrew, and if it's with Israelis, it's lies. And it doesn't make, and it has no meaning at all. That's why, yes, you should not converse with Israelis at all. At all. There is nothing to speak with them about. Nothing at all. Now, so we kind of diverge from the main topic. So let's get back to the issue of the symbolic language. I will now say two things that might sound contradictory, but they are both true, and they are very important. Meta principles of the symbolic language. First is that the symbols, they are in effect whether you mean it or not. And this actually is something that was used by the Israelis a lot in order to abuse their victims. Both myself and of course other people as well. Because they understood that in order to get the result that they wanted, they only need the person, like mostly myself, but I'm sure other people as well, they need them to actually create the required construction, even unknowingly, and watch it. And then they get the result, even if they don't know nothing about it. This was true all my life. Now, there is a huge problem from their perspective, is that they don't understand the symbolic language. They have very limited understanding of the symbolic language. Like, mostly the Israelis don't even think of it as a language at all. As an assortment of magic tricks that should be done. But nevertheless, from their perspective, they need to just force you to do the magic tricks this way, and you don't even need to know anything about it or to have any kind of knowledge, and it will work. And it's true that it has not required internal thought. Now you can ask why is it like that, and there are a reason for it. I understood it long ago, and understood that it's actually, there are reasons why it's like that, and that they say it's very common to say in Jewish Orthodoxy that מצווה חשובה גם בלי כוונה. It means that many times the ritual or the action they carry great significance, maybe not the maximum significance, but they carry significance even if they are done without internal intention of the person. It's better to have intention. This is kind of one of the main historically it was a huge gap between Judaism and Christianity in its early phases, because it's not a simple example. It's not simple. You cannot TLDR it. It's a historically philosophical argument between early Judaism and early Christianity, and you cannot summarize it shortly. And it's not the topic of this video. You just say that both sides had it's not that Christianity had complete even though, of course, in the general context, of course, I support the Christian view on the matter, and in the general context, and in the general problem of Judaism, and why Christianity was needed. Not only as a gospel for all humankind, but also as a correction of Judaism, and replacement of Judaism. So in that context, I accept that is the Christian view here, but that yes, the intention is important, and the ritual is and you know the rituals, and you know the exact kind of like details of the rituals are that are, you know, the main subject of halakha, like the Jewish law, and it's still like the 2,000 years after Jesus, it's just the same. Like, I mean, you can read, like, you know, the words of Jesus, like from the Evangelions on the matter, and it's just like it's totally. It's even more relevant today than now. Actually, today it's even more relevant. It's because it only became more relevant with time, because Jews only became worse in this aspect. Like everything that, like, I mean, that Jews says, I mean, with this regard, I mean, it only was amplified with time, because Jews actually became worse in this particular aspect, like of the way that they act. So it's already there, like, you know, red letter. It's red on white already 2,000 years ago, and it's just like that, even much more so today. That I mean, the concentration on the rituals, or the specific and specific, I mean, like rules of what to do. I mean, and negating. I mean, the need to think and deleting God, like, from the equation, and, like, I mean, no, it's like, I mean, this is betrayal. I mean, of you know, of it's manifestation of ego and convoluted power hunger, and of course, ultimately, this is Satan, this is the devil, and that, I mean,